Hey, welcome everybody to Division One meeting. My name is Mike Mackey, and I am the division director here, as everybody well knows. Thank you for being here today. We've got a good crew. I'm certainly glad you all were able to make it with us today. We've got a meeting that's going to be jammed full of a lot of different things. So let's just get right to it. First off, if you would, please take your cell phones and put them in a silent mode, if you don't mind. I'm doing that to mine right now. I want to welcome everybody. We've got some guests here today. We've also got some dignitaries here today. Charles Goodrich is going to be joining us in a few minutes. Charles is the director for Division 3. As you also know, we've got some people from our own division. Daryl Cowles is also from the region, helping our region as an at-large director. And we've got some other people. Our secretary, Mr. Palmer, is having his breakfast back here in the back from the LSR. So he'll be coming from behind the screen in a minute. Everybody will be able to see him. There. Okay. I want to honor and thank the Texas Western Club for hosting us today. They do a great job. Already had one comment from someone. This is a great place to have a meeting, and it absolutely is. We're getting upgraded all the time. First off, I want to say one thing before I turn it over to Mr. Crumpton. I think we owe a round of applause to our AV specialist, Mr. Cranda. We're constantly getting upgraded. I've got stage lights now up here. So if I'd have known he didn't tell me, I would have worn a ball cap to hide the glare a little bit. So makeup's coming. We got a makeup artist that'll be there next month. Yeah, or a paper bag works. Yeah. Come on in. We got plenty of chairs over here. By the way, as the meeting's attendance continues to grow, okay, we're starting to run into a couple of things that was kind of unexpected a couple of years ago. Number one, we've had to requisition more chairs from the city of Forest Hill. Nice problem to have, huh, guys? The other thing is parking places in our parking lot. So we're currently possibly going to start a shuttle service from 2 blocks down the street at the big parking lot. If you come in here and there's no place to park, come on in. We'll figure out a way. You can park down the street and come back. We'll shuttle you back and forth. Again, nice problem to have. I'm thrilled about it. All right. At this time, let me call on Mr. David Crumpton, President of Texas Western. And David, you want to say a couple of words?
Sure. Thank you, Mike. First, who is here for the first time except for the Campbell family? Anybody here for the first time? Okay. You're going to meet the Campbell family here in a few minutes. Very special family, very special young man, and he's here for a very special reason. Looking forward to hearing more about him and seeing some of the fruits of his labors. What I wanted to talk to you about for just a minute is the garage sale that we're having here at the Texas Western next Saturday. Everybody should have seen a flyer in their chair. If you didn't get one, take one off of the front table. We've got some more. This garage sale, if you came to our garage sale last year, we have probably twice as much stuff.
Wow.
So we have a ton of railroad stuff, cars, locomotives, everything you can think of. We've had a lot of donations over the last year, and we want you to take advantage of our garage sale. And we sell stuff at very reasonable prices. One thing to point out to you over here on the left, this is a special collection. John Callison was a member of our club for many, many years. He passed away a few months back. His wife kindly donated these items that you see. She said, sell what you can sell at the garage sale. What doesn't sell, you guys can keep and sell at various garage sales you may have in the future.
Or use at the club.
Or use at the club. So we've graciously accepted her donation. What I want to point out to you is this is all John Callison stuff. You see prices marked on here. If you look through there and you think maybe we priced it a little bit too high, no reasonable offer will be refused. We want to sell this merchandise. So if you see something you just got to have, but the price maybe looks a little high, let us know. Myself, Trapper, are you where you can wave your hand? Okay.
He's waving. He's just around the
He's
corner.
waving.
Yeah. There he is.
Trapper in the red shirt, if you don't know Trapper. See Trapper or myself and say, here's the money. We'll take a check. We'll take cash as long as it's good. And we will, and sometimes cash is not even good. So anyway, take a look at this. If you see something you just got to have, let us know and we'll make you a deal. This will also wind up in the garage sale next Saturday if there's anything left after today. Mike, that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Everybody.
I want to give you a couple of announcements here. First off, you probably saw if you've been reading your emails, Division I lost one of its members last Friday. Stan Prochowski, MMR, passed away. There will be a visitation at Lucas Funeral Home in Grapevine on Tuesday evening for anybody that wants to go over there and do it. If you've not, hopefully you do remember and had a chance to see Stan and his late wife's Karen's layout over in Colleyville. Outstanding layout. Covered the entire second floor of a 3-car garage. Great story. Stan told Karen after they got married that he would like to play with some trains. Karen bought in whole hog. She joined the NMRA. She gotta use a speaker's trick. If you're ever speaking and you start getting choked up, take a sip of water. You can't cry whenever you're sipping water. Stan went to work, came home one day, and Karen had a new contractor out to expand the upper deck and expand the garage to a 3rd level so they could have a bigger layout. Great woman, as far as our hobby is concerned, but great woman all the way around. The name of the railroad's called the MDAC. Nobody understood what MDAC was for, but the story behind it is when Stan and Karen were courting, Stan would write love letters to her. Literally not emails, but handwritten love letters. And on the back of the letter, he would put MDAK. She never knew what that stood for. And finally, she asked him one time, and it was, my darling angel Karen. So they named the railroad the MDAC, and it held to this day. Karen passed away from cancer in 2007. Thank you. And they always opened up their layout to a charity in her honor that they were very, very supportive of, and still did that up until the time that Stan's passed away. And I'm sure they will probably continue to do that. Their daughters are still in the area, and I think that one of them still lives in the house. And so they'll probably maintain the layout. I had a call from Don Murphy, one of our members, on Friday, and as luck or bad luck would have it, he and Stan were in the hospital 2 weeks ago across the hall from each other. And they had a conversation whereby Stan reiterated to him that he wanted to make sure that his layout was on the 23 convention tour. So I'm sure that we talked to the daughters and it will be there. If you look at the convention videos, you will see a lightning scene where a train and the room is filled with trains. And literally his home layout is as big as from where I'm standing all the way back to the layout back here. And that's in his home layout. and it's a big E-shaped layout with trains running everywhere, completely scenic with animation. When I say, and I mean, he's got a lot of different people doing things. He's got a lumberjack felling a tree, and it actually falls over with the chainsaw and all that kind of stuff. And then when you turn and walk away, the tree comes back up. So it's great stuff. But anyway, it'll be a highlight of the layout tours, and we're going to try to talk to the family and make sure that that happens. But anyway, keep Stan's family in your prayers, and the condolences go out to them. One of the things I want to ask you is, you'll notice that yours truly is wearing his Division I shirt. Cue D1 swag. Please go to the website off of our division page. And you will see that we've got shirts, hats, caps, whatever, all the way across the board here in different styles and different colors and everything else, where you can support the division. Okay. Recently, within the last month, I got a check from Daylight Sales, and they sent us a small check because every purchase that you make on the website, they give a donation back to the division. It was a very small check, a very small check. We can do better. So support your division, buy your stuff, and wear it to all of the kinds of different events that we go to, okay? So if you don't have one, please pick one up. Which, by the same token, leads us to the next thing. Convention 2023 swag. Which, perfect, you did that very well, all right? It's almost like you used to do this for a living. We've got shirts, caps, coffee mugs, everything else for the 2023 convention that you can buy here. If you go to the convention website, (2023) Texas Express. There you go. There you go. There you go. If you go to this website, then you scroll down just a little bit, you will see convention merchandise right there. And you can click right there and go to and make purchases for wherever you want to accordingly. By the way, what was that website again for the convention?
2023.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Memorize that, repeat it, and share it with all your friends. Okay. We're getting a lot of good traffic on that. So please start promoting the convention as much as possible. In that regard, over the last 72 hours, I've gotten different people telling me, I've heard rumors about this. I've heard rumors about that. I've heard, guys, there aren't any rumors that should be floating around, okay? If anybody's finding out or hearing things about the convention, come to Mike or come to Dwayne or Jeff or Donna. Those any rumors you've heard about anything are just that, and we need to nip them in the bud, because they don't do anything but start expounding on themselves and growing and getting roots, and it just is horrible stuff. So the convention is well under control. It is running smoothly. We will probably be opening registration for the 23 convention within the next couple of weeks. I'll be attending the national board meeting tomorrow, and we're getting an update on that and probably moving ahead with the software to start registration. And when we do, we're going to open up registration for the 23 convention, and things are going to start happening really, really quick. Guys, think about this. We're just 14 months out. It's going to be here before we know it, which brings me to the next thing. Mr. Mahan, would you please stand up? Chris, would you like to ask for volunteers?
Yes. I'm going to be looking for volunteers. I've got all kinds of jobs that need to be done. some that'll take a couple hours, and any interest you have, please come see me. And I'm asking for your name and phone number now, and as time gets closer, we'll talk about what you'd like to do for the convention. And to keep my marriage intact, I'm supposed to say my wife, who's in charge of non-rail tours, is looking for ladies or gentlemen to help with non-rail tours. So if your wives are coming to the convention or they're interested, please give me their names too, so I can pass that on to Christy and my wife.
Perfect. Thank you. By the way, how many have already signed up as a volunteer for the convention? Please raise your hand. Okay. There's still some people that didn't have their hands raised up. Please, we need your help. We really need your help. Okay. So if you would, please get with Mr. Mahan. All right. Thanks, Chris. It is my regret to pass along that Dennis Wright is moving to Sweetwater. Dennis, where are you? I thought that I saw you up as a attendee. I don't see the view I need to see on the screen. I thought Dennis was there. He is. Dennis? Well, never mind. He probably didn't know I was going to call on him, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll just kick back, go back to the other screen. All right. So, yeah, pick that one. So, Dennis is moving to Sweetwater, which means that we need an assistant program manager to help Cole Rash. If you would be interested in helping as an assistant program manager, we've got the two program managers shoulder to shoulder over here that have been previous in that, Mr. Lysing and Mr. Rash over here. They will tell you that I really work hard to try to support them in that endeavor. Would you guys agree with that? All right. And this next year is really going to be a smooth year for us, because we've got clinicians that are going to be doing their run through, as is today, for the 23 convention, using our division meeting as a platform to test drive their clinics. So we're really in a catbird seat here for that. So it's going to be really easy. And right now we've got clinics already scheduled through February or March of next year. Is that right, Cole? February. So we do need an assistant, though, in case Cole is out of pocket or whatever. So if you feel like that you could give just a small amount of time to the division, plus you get volunteer points for it, for volunteer for your AP certs. So every month that you serve as a division helper, you get volunteer points on that for 1 point per month. So if you feel like you can do that, please step up and contact me or Cole, and we can do that. On that same topic, we need some help with the newsletter. Mr. Hager, right over here, is looking for an assistant to help with the newsletter. Training is provided, and it's not that hard, okay? The hardest part of his whole job, I will tell you right now, is to make sure that I get my article turned in on time. Correct? Correct. And I normally turn it in on Wednesday, and he sends it out immediately thereafter. Everything else is already done. He plugs in my article, and off the newsletter goes. Our newsletter is called The Whistle. You should be receiving it. So again, if you would like to help with the newsletter, more volunteer points, Mr. Hager will help you with training. We need somebody, we need a backup on that. So please help with that as well. Let's see here. Couple other announcements. 24 Hours of Saginaw is coming up at the end of the month. And if you're not familiar, over in Saginaw, next to the Chamber of Commerce building, is 24 hours worth of train watching and photographs and everything else. So if you're interested, that's about 1.5 miles from my house. Would love to have you guys come over to Saginaw and set up and watch trains over there. That location over next to the Saginaw Chamber of Commerce has been voted the best railfan spot in 6 states for about the past 5 years in a row in Cowcatcher magazine. It's an amazing spot. They have about 80 trains a day to 90 trains a day come through there, except when you have a barbecue in the 2016 convention and you're trying to watch trains during the barbecue. That day, the dispatcher gods were not helping us, and we only had 1 train come by in a 2-hour barbecue. But what do you do? All right. Let's see. The convention, the LSR convention was last weekend. I want to give you a quick report on that. At the board of directors meeting, Division 1 was highlighted. Cue camera. Get chair out of the way. And Division 1 was presented a plaque on the President's Award okay, which reads, the LSR President's Award 2021 for outstanding membership recruitment to the Cowcatcher Division. During the calendar year of 2021, Division 1 aggressively pursued new members through participation in a membership booth at local train shows, the UP Big Boy Steam Locomotive event in Fort Worth, and visited and invited potential members to attend their monthly division meetings. These actions resulted in 31 new members joining the NMRA. Of the 84 new members recruited in 2021 by the combined 8 Lone Star Region divisions, Division 1 was responsible for 37% of the new membership. So this is something that's not just me. It is Mr. Kaiser. It is Mike Ross. It is Mr. Crumpton. It is the whole division. Congratulations. Division 1 represented itself at the LSR convention extremely well. Joe, what was didn't Division 1 provide about a third of the attendees for the convention down there, if not more?
I don't have the final count, but it was about a third.
1/3 of the attendees came from this division. There's 8 divisions out there. So thank you for your participation. Stu, did you enjoy the convention?
It was great.
Steve Gradke, your first convention, what was your experience?
Great time, a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. Russell, had a good time? That was your first convention too. Cole, it was yours too, wasn't it? Will you be going back to another convention? Yeah? Stu, you gonna go back again sometime?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good deal. So I want to talk about the awards that Division 1 brought home from the contest room. Cole, would you please step up here? Cole entered a bridge and a steam engine. The steam engine is right here. He got first place in steam engines. He got first place in bridges for a bridge that he entered. But most importantly, he got novice best of show for his entry right there. You only get one shot at this award. One. Okay? Because if you win your category, then you're not eligible for that because you're no longer a novice. All right? So if you don't get it first rattle out of the box, it's over. And congratulations to Cole. Russ Gifford. Where, do you have your models with you?
No, I didn't bring them.
Okay.
We don't need it,
Russ entered 2 displays, took home second and third ribbons in his displays. By the way, he lost to Mr. Goodrich's display over here. He entered a car. He entered a chicken car. He took second place in cars. He took first place in offline structures, and he took second place in online structures and best tree. That's correct. So, and that was his first time he's ever entered anything in the contest room. So congratulations, Russ. Good job. All right. At this point, I want to ask, we need to go back to feed. One of our Division I members, go back to the where they can share screen and bring up the people who are attending via Zoom. Reggie Thomas.
Hello, can you hear me?
I sure can. Kill this. That right there. You go. Perfect. Reggie, you want to share your screen and or we'll just bring you up to queue here. Yeah, pin.
Yeah, I can share my screen or drop it in the chat for you and talk about it.
Okay. Let me introduce this. Reggie Thomas is a member of our division. He works in the IT department for BNSF. Reggie's joining us from home because he's at work right now. And he's on call for the IT department at BNSF. But
Yep.
Reggie was recently honored by the BNSF because of some of the things that he's doing. They asked him if he would help promote their social media program. He started sharing things with his railroad, his son. He's got a small little railroad, but it's a nice little railroad. He does amazing work on locomotives, adding sound, lights, doing all different things with DCC decoders. And he started sharing different pieces of information about him, his son, and his layout through the social media on BNSF. And it resulted in a major uptick in their social media platform. So because of that, the company-wide newsletter reached out and did a recent article on Reggie and what he's doing in the social media and everything like that all the way across. So congratulations to Reggie for that. But in honor of this week's or this month's programs that has a lot to do with photography, I wanted to get Reggie to tell us a little bit about the Youth Railfanning Photo Contest for 2022. Now, unfortunately, we didn't find out about this until yesterday, and the deadline for entry is Monday.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if you've got some photographs in your stash somewhere, Foster, you can enter something really, really quickly into this contest. All right, so Reggie, would you take it over and tell us a little bit more about what this is?
All right. So I'll put in the chat there the link. So BNSF is holding a Youth Railfanning Photo Contest for 2022. Unfortunately, we didn't, that's the way things happen. It's May 16th, close of business, end of day. So what they're wanting is from any youth, photos to have to do with the railroad or any of its predecessor railroads. If you have them on file, this includes railfan photos of a train, BNSF train going by. This could be maybe your own model of railroad layout. So what will happen is if you win, when you submit these pictures, you will be featured on Rail Talk to generate traffic through the website. You'll be the managers there will put you and interview you. You will also win engineers cap, BNSF baseball caps, and things of that nature. I put it on a website, and also I can email it out to everyone through Mike and to the news cowcatcher.org. That's what they're doing. Let me see if I can read this for you real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so the feature a child rail fan celebrating BNSF or generic trains. Examples include wearing BNSF branded gear. You can wear gear and be in a photo. Playing with toy trains, as we call them, model railroad trains and not toys. I don't know if they put that. Or waving at a passing train from a safe location. Can be taken safely from a location clearly outside of the railroad property. They don't want you on railroad property, but posing no danger, risk, or injury to others. Photos that appear to possibly have been taken with the railroad right away inside of a rail yard facility or in an unsafe position will not be considered. So if you're in an unsafe position, those will not be considered, but they want you to have fun. Okay. So anything else, Mike?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Reggie. I apologize.
Yeah. So that's what they want. And you email your pictures to communitymanager@bnsf.com. I put it in the chat there also for to share with everyone.
Again, communitymanager@bnsf.com is where you want to mail your photographs and submit your. Is there a form that they need to fill out, Reggie?
Nope. Just put your name, contact information, phone number, and just as many pictures as you want.
Cool.
And you will win an award, and you will be featured in the Rail Talk blog. And the Rail Talk blog was what we were featured in. Let's see, back in, I think this was March. BNSF employee build.
Look at this pic. This is one of Reggie's engines on his layout. Pretty nice. He's done a good job there.
I rebuilt that. Yes, I built that. I built a lot of them from scraps. Like I told Mike this morning, because I can't afford the high price ones. And so that's our layout. It's the size of a pool table, but it is growing. I'm building modular sections. My son, who has a disability, I did the model railroad to help him with that a little bit. Okay. So it's got all kinds of things, lights and all that kind of stuff I put in it. We started back in 2017. I started actually in 1983, got away from the hobby and then got back in. This right here is ESU and Dakota Buddy. And what I do is I share what works best and most efficiently with forums. I build these, and I don't build them for other people, but I show them how to do it in an easy way. And like this blue Smurf, I actually built that myself from pieces and then painted them. They like this one because we have a major contract with JB Hunt, anybody who follows BNSF Railway. So I just take the pictures. So that stemmed their interest. And this was just stuff. They also did a feature video. Let me see if I can. This is what they did. It's short.
That looks like a KCS engine there.
It is.
Reggie, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate you showing us this and sharing the information about the photo contest. Is this an annual thing, or is this something?
It's going to. I'm going to try to encourage it to be annual. This was the first year they did it after they did my feature article, and that one I didn't see coming. I did not see that coming. They just called me up to, hey, thanks for promoting rail fans, especially among youth. And they gave me this, they're starting to do more things and they want to encourage you. So I'm hoping it's going to be every year. So Thank you, Mike, for allowing us to distribute this. Like I said, it's not my program, it's marketing's program to generate traffic and encourage railroad safety.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Reggie.
Mike, what's the age limit for children when they want?
What's the age limit on this for?
There
for
is
youth?
no age, it doesn't say, I don't see an age limit. There is no age limit.
It said you.
Yeah, it says youth, but I don't see what a.
I don't see an
I
age
don't know
limit.
what the
Oh,
definition.
okay.
I would say probably 18 and under.
Yeah, because there's some rules right here. The person submitting an entry must be a U.S. resident, age 18. Yeah, so yeah, I would say that.
18 and under.
Yep.
You're welcome.
And like I said, I'm going to reply all for you, Mike. Okay, on
Okay.
your news, and if you
Yeah,
might
send a link out to news@cowcatcherdivision.org. Okay? Thank you.
All right.
Which is a perfect segue. How many of you got the email for today's meeting? Please raise your hand. Okay. How many of you did not receive today's email? Okay. We've got some issues that we've got to work through. Dave and I talked about this before the meeting. We're going to go back and double check and see why individuals are not receiving the emails from the division. I would urge you, though, it may not be on our end, it may be on your end, and it may be on your email receiving settings. It may be going to trash, it may be going to junk, it may be blocked. There's all kinds of different things that could cause you not to receive it, because if you looked around when everybody was raising their hands, there was a bigger majority of people that did receive it that did not receive it. So double check your own settings at your own location, and we'll try to work through it. Now, Russ, would you received an email recently from the email server, Dave, that said you need to go in and check your settings. And
I went through it, I thought it was easy.
I understand. We hadn't sent anything out since you changed it, but anyway, there was a setting that an email that the email server sent out as an auto thing to a member, to Russ, and said that, show it to Dave if you would. He's Mr. Communication. But anyway, if you did not respond to the email, that could have in fact had an impact on you not receiving your having your settings set correctly. I didn't receive it. I'd never seen it before, but he did, and it was legit. So, all right. You should have received through snail mail a flyer from the NMRA talking about membership adjustment and the pricings accordingly. Ken, I would like to see us to start to use this. I don't know if you still have yours at home. If you don't, I've got this. Guys, can y'all take care of that after the meeting if you don't mind? Thank you very much. I think this is a very important piece of information. It breaks it out very well and could be used very succinctly for recruiting and for membership drives. Okay. Okay. So we need to make sure that we keep this as a info item moving forward for all membership drives and stuff like that. It breaks out, in case you didn't know, the new membership fee is $68 starting April 1. Of that, 37% goes to HQ overhead and personnel, 11% go to operating expenses, 17% go to education, standards, technology, and marketing, 11% go to meetings and travel, 3% goes to regional rebates, 21% goes to NMRA magazine content and digital delivery, and there is an additional, if you want the printed copy of the magazine, $24 for the printed copy. However, now with the digital magazine, which I hope you all have started looking at, there is at the App Store on iPhone and on the Google App Store, you can download on your smartphone the NMRA app that will allow you to digitally look at the magazine on any digital device, and it's free with your NMRA membership. All you got to do is log in with your user ID and password that you set up on the NMRA website. How many of you have not set up your NMRA membership on the NMRA website? Yeah. So there is a ton of information behind the curtain that you're not getting because you're not signed up. Okay? I was privy to a conversation at the regional convention the other day where a member came to the marketing specialist and said, "We're not giving enough benefits to the members." Really? How so? Well, have you tried, she said, have you tried the members discount program? Yeah, I tried it, didn't work. I said, really? What happened? Well, when I ordered from them, I just put in NMRA and they didn't give me my discount. I said, they said, that's not the way it works. There's a coupon code on the NMRA website for your discounts. Well, how am I supposed to know about that? Well, if you go to the page that outlines it on the NMRA thing, well, I don't do the internet. Well, if you don't do the internet, then how are you going to get access to the information that the NMRA website offers you? Well, I don't know, but I don't do the internet. Okay, well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy then, isn't it? Okay, if you're, and so don't be fussing about the benefits that you're not receiving if you're not availing yourself to receive those benefits, right? Okay, so anyway, it was a vicious cycle and the conversation spun out of control from there, but you can understand. So go back to the NMRA website, put in your user ID and password, and start looking at the different things that are available for you accordingly. Let's see. Digital magazine, take advantage of it. You can read it on anything. Riley Triggs, our friend from Austin, has done an outstanding job of implementing it, and you can use the NMRA app accordingly. Is Dwayne online?
No.
Okay. I'm going to give a brief thing on the AP program. Everybody, I urge you to get involved. I urge you to fill out your paperwork. Those of you who have been working, Jim, have you gotten your volunteer cert yet? Have you filled out the paperwork yet? Okay, please finish it, okay? Because I promise you, as many times as you've been bringing donuts here and as many months as you've been doing it, you're probably well on your way for your volunteer cert, okay? As with most people, okay, you've done the work, just fill out the paperwork, please, okay? And we want to hang a cert back here on the wall. That's what all those certificates are for, right? So it's important for the division to be a leader in the AP program for the region. We are rapidly setting the bar for the rest of the region, and our division is doing a great job. So I want to keep that going, and we need to show that by participating in the AP program and helping lead the pack on that. So if you've done the work, please fill out the paperwork. And somebody else I'm looking at right now knows that I'm talking to them. Steele, thank you. Hi. Fill out the paperwork and turn it in, okay? Please do that because it shows that we're participating in the program and we're leading the way. All right. At this time, I want to introduce somebody very special. Every year, Division I seeks out individuals to present our annual youth award to. The Youth Award is presented to someone who is showing at an early age an interest in model railroading, rail fanning, or whatever that would hopefully carry them forward in the hobby that we all have found as an early age to be something that is a lifelong hobby that we've all enjoyed for a long, long time. You can carry it forward and hopefully through generations. And as you look around, you can see that this aging group that we've got here needs an influx of young members to sustain the organization. I found out about this young man through his aunt when I was starting to do a marketing program for the NMRA National, which is yet to be rolled out yet, but we're working on it. And it all stemmed from the big boy visit. We brought in 23 new members at the big boy, and of those 23 new members, 3 of them or 4 of them were from out of state. We signed up: Ohio, California, Indiana, and I want to say New York. Okay. Anyway, several from out of state. And it started having me to contemplate why we were able to do that and why we were able to draw so many members in on one day, on a Saturday at the big boy. And it was because we were able to reach an audience that we normally don't reach. You stop and think about where the NMRA advertises. It's typically in Model Railroader, Craftsman, or Trains magazine. And it's to the target audience, I'll give it that. But several things have to happen. First off, they got to buy the magazine. Second, they got to read it cover to cover. Third, they've got to zero in on the ad that the NMRA put in there. Fourth, they got to read the ad. And fifth, they've got to act upon the thing that we're asking them to do. That's a lot of ifs. So my thought was, how can we start to target people that we don't normally see? And my mind went to the movies that we go to and those little ads that you see before the feature starts for Bob's Donut Shop and Sam's Plumbing and the so-and-so pool service, right? And so I called Krista Buford, who's this young man's aunt, and started talking to her, and I started asking her some questions, but I didn't tell her why I was calling her, who I was with. At which point, whenever I identified myself as I'm with the NMRA, and we would like to put an ad about model railroading in there, she said, "This is right up my nephew's alley. He loves trains." And I was introduced to a young man and found out some things about him that led me to nominate him for our youth award for this year. So without further ado, if you would please welcome the Campbell family and Master Foster Campbell to receive the youth award for 2022. There you go. We want to get some pictures of you, okay? Kim, would you take a photograph, please? All right, let me shake your hand. And you hold this with this one. We're going to shake hands like this, okay? All right. All right. Congratulations, Foster.
Thank you, sir.
Foster has got a love and desire for rail fanning, and he takes photographs of trains every chance he gets. And I think it's only fitting that today's program is all about model railroad photography. All right. And the fact that Foster's here to receive his youth award. So congratulations, Foster. We're very proud of you. We want you to stay in our organization for a long time. All right. Let's see. Do we have anybody that brought anything for show and tell? Gary?
I mentioned that I'm having to rebuild my layout after moving from California. So I have it designed. I can't get the contractor motivated to sheetrock the building. It's been a 6-month ordeal and 2 bouts of COVID that he has had. So hopefully it gets sheetrocked. It's up, air conditioned, just waiting. While he's getting the slides ready, I'm having to build 147 switches. Actually, that number's growing. Previously, on my layout back in California, I made my own jig to use Central Valley Model Works switches, and I tie strips, and I built 220 that way. It's the first time in 20 years I had hand blade tracking yet, and I made a lot of mistakes and started in the yard. Oops, not a good place to start. So a lot of fine tuning. So anyway, this time I decided I'd try fast tracks for accuracy and speed. 176, I thought I really got to get on with it. I'm going to get the layout together again. So I came up with some shortcuts for getting building switches. And we'll share that with you in just a second. Hopefully. Here we go. So this is the layout, and I used Third Planet to design it, and that way I could determine the number of switches, how many left, right, whether they're 5, 6s, or 8s. And next slide, please.
What's the overall size?
Pardon?
Overall size?
The overall size interior is 25 by 44 feet.
25 by 44.
And my previous layout was 24 by 60 in the mushroom layout. This time I'm not doing mushroom. Don't have time to do that. So I started with fast track jigs and bought some. Thought, well, we'll see how it goes. And was interested in the accuracy of putting it together, because before I did a lot of fine tuning, we'd have op sessions and they'd go to Post-it notes around. Okay, if something derails, just leave me a note. And first few times, oh gosh, 20 notes, and probably everything after a couple of years was running smoothly. I thought fast tracks would get me past that point, but I also had learned a lot of mistakes not to make. Next, please. So with so many to build, I wanted to streamline the process, and I had a bunch of fast track ties or in a little baggie there left over from my previous layout that I used for crowbars, but I also contacted Clover House and just bought tie strips in bulk, and so it gave me a nice discount and free shipping. And what I've done is I calculated using the templates how many of each tie I would need. So for the first tie, which is a standard size tie, I went ahead and I marked the thin lines show where the ties separate. So I take the whole 12-inch strip, and then the heavier marks show where I need to put the insulating gaps. And by doing just the upper and lower strip, then I could just go through and mark them off. So for each tie, for each type of turnout, it's a code 6, and that's what I had the most of. I made over 100 ties for each different length. Next, please. Here I'm cutting the gaps in the ties ahead of time, and then I check the continuity, and that one has a buzzer, so I don't even have to look at it, and that way I don't have mistakes later on. I find using the Dremel at a low speed, it was 2 on my battery-powered Dremel, is about right. Lower speed than that, it takes, it's too hard to do. Higher speed, you cut too fast and too deep. Next, please. Next thing I did is I didn't want the insulating gap to show, so I filled it with plastic putty. And then I tried a couple of different things. A 12-inch strip was kind of long at first, the handle, so I cut them in half at a convenient space. But I later learned I can do a 12-inch strip just by flipping it around. And so after I had the plastic putty on, I took a file and ran it across the top of the ties, also on the top side of the ties, and to make sure there was nothing out so it would go into the jig. Next, please. So here I've cut the ties apart, and then I have file drawers with each type in it. Then for the throw bars I made just 2 throw bars each and used a drill press, and this way I could just flip it around and do one and then the second one and then cut it apart. Next, please. So I printed out the track plan in full size, and when I designed the layout, this time I used Fast Track's templates, which are part of Third Planet. And then I take the actual switch templates, I tape them together, and I have a tendency to do a 3-foot length at a time, whatever I can get away with 1 piece of rail. So that's 2 different sections of the switches put together there for the yard. Next, please. Here is something that Joe Fugate did. I had talked with Joe, I visited him several times, and I made my own Termit jig like this for doing the switches. And I took 6 different jigs, 2 for each size switch. And in the meantime, he came out with this other way of making them, and I thought, okay. So I previously edited with that. I've now built, I think 11 now, Fast Tracks switches. I've had problems soldering, quite frankly. I talked to Terry at Fast Tracks, and well, it's your technique. I watched video after video. It's like the Fast Tracks jig acts as a sink.
A heat sink, absolutely.
Sink. And no, you're doing it wrong. So I got a more powerful system. I had a 45 watt. Tried that. It's still the same problem. Take it out of the jig, no problem. So I know it's not a problem with things not being clean. It's not a problem with flex. I tried both acid core, and then I like to use a gel from H&M Electronics, and still the same problem. So I said, okay, let's see. Fast Tracks, extremely accurate, ready to use, smooth operation. I already have the jigs, but it's hard to solder. Cost of the quick stick ties is they run it between $9 and $10, depending on the size of switch. I have enough ties that I could actually cut my own, but that's time consuming too, and also no detail. If I do the Central Valley Model Works, good track detail, cost savings, $5 a switch compared to 9 to 11. I'm familiar with the process, and I know what airs now, having done 220 of them before. It's one drawback is the time to make the jigs, and previously the rail height didn't quite match microengineering track, which I use. It's just a small discrepancy. I'll watch as I do that and shim where I need to. So I've almost decided not to use Fast Tracks. I'll sell the jigs when I'm all done, I think. And I think I'll just make new jigs more appropriate like this. Next, please. You're running.
Other way.
So I found these extremely useful. I used them before. The jig, the point helper, and also the filing jigs for the stock rail and for the points. And so I'll probably keep Fast Track jigs at least until I get the guardrails done, because it's real easy to form the right length of guardrail and make them all the same and accurate. Exclusion. We talked last month about buying the plaster cloth. I used that before in my previous layout, and I paid back in 2017 $212 for a roll if I bought 33 rolls. That ad is a current ad I found on Amazon, on eBay for it. I don't understand it because it's $19.99 including shipping. Well, before they shipped me stuff, the people I bought from before aren't selling it now. But it's $20 in one of those big priority boxes. And that's the way mine arrived. But anyway, that plaster cloth is much better than the model cloth. It's got a lot more plaster. That's a lot cheaper. So just a plug for that. And one last one. I played around with, next please. I played around with making some coupling picks. And about the time I started working on it, Joe Fugate and Model Railroad Hobbyist Extra came out with his idea, which is already one I had done. I thought, oh, he stole my thunder. So you can look, if you get running extra, there's an extra feed for that where the article is. Jeff Johnson had a video on his blog post, and if you click on that, when you get home on the orange part, it'll take you to his video to show how these work. I made several, I tried different ways. I bought 4 of these that are on top and it has the size of them. And I still don't have, I have all my cars and tractors still tacked. So I tried here in 2 cars. I didn't know all the cars were going to be missing. So I brought picks so you could try, but there's no cars out. But anyway, I tried this one this morning, and this is the same. It's got the yellow one in here and in the bottom. And I like having the bigger part here. So this is just a pin where I pull out the top. These, you just take the cap that's on this end, put on this end, and it's a tight fit. Doesn't even need glue, and there you go. And they work, they're fantastic. I use a different way of doing the green gum ones up in Tulsa for the office sessions that they had a couple months ago, and very impressed with it. The owner there did the same thing. He just took the protective cap, flipped it around, and put it on the end, rather than cutting it off. What Joe Fugate was doing, he was taking and trimming with a knife and just getting the metal part out and then sticking it in a dowel. Anyway, they work great. And you can also buy, I found just the little brush part. That's available on Amazon also in various diameters. So you don't even need to carve anything on. That's my share. Thank you.
Thank you. Russ, you have something you want to share? Oh, okay, all right. Okay, John?
Yeah, I've been working on my NMR for years. And I brought some cars. I've been going to present when it comes back probably next month. One of the table back there, there's 4 cars that were kits I probably did 40 years ago. 3 of my fire cars and 1 that combined. The other 4 are ones that I built from scratch based on the presentation that Dwayne did a few months ago on scratch building cars. And they're on the table back there. Each one's a little different. One of them has an air in it. I challenge you to find it. So take a look at them. Just give me your comments. I appreciate any input you got.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Mike Ross.
Dr. Mike Walter and I are again hosting the Southwest O-Scale meet, a meet for O-Scalers that gather from the Southwest area in October. Everyone's going to be welcome.
That is an NMRA sponsored event, correct, Mike?
Well, let's do it that way.
That's what I thought.
Because you're going to help publicize it.
Absolutely.
We need to make some contact with the ON30 group. So if there are folks here that, because all the same 48 to the foot, if there's someone here that can help put me in touch with that group, I'd appreciate it.
I would suggest you talk to Chuck Lynn. You know Chuck already. That might be a good place to start.
Give him an email.
Okay? Yes, sir.
Go off to the style auction convention, the little AC-10 brass string that was in there. I ended up acquiring that. It didn't run, but it was just a loose wire. But I'm remotoring it right now. But we cleaned up, it's polished, and sometimes you find little gems like that, guys. They don't look like much, but you take them apart, clean them up. That's a highly detailed frame. And I got it running with open flame motor. It's running fantastic. It's noisy. But I've got a cordless motor I'm putting in it right now. The motor, I'll bring it next month. But
cool.
It took me about 6 hours to polish it and swing it, and it sounds like a brand new train.
Good. Congratulations. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm working with micro LEDs. The LED is smaller than a pinhead. I'm using these to go in little hooded lights that you see outside of factories and what have you. The problem I've got is stripping back that wire is very fine. It's finer than 30 gauge. Three things happen. Either I get a good strip, like rolling it on my hobby knife and get a good strip, or I pull it off and I've only got a few strands, or it breaks off. I looked online for a wire stripper that's finer than 30 or 32 gauge. This is very, very fine wire. Has anybody seen anything like that?
Yes.
I got strippers, but I tell you what I do, I just put my heating stack, cigarette lighter, heat it, and burn it dry.
Okay, heat it up. Perfect. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Jeff, did you have something?
Yeah, you can get a stripper.
Hey, David Crompton.
Sir.
Go ahead, Jeff.
You can buy a stripper from Micromark. There's also, you can get it from Allied Electronics that will strip magnetic wire, which is what you're working with. But the one that I've always used is I just use heat. I go ahead and just solder the wire because it'll burn the insulation off. Okay. All right. Thank you. Perfect.
All right. Any other things for Q&A? Okay. Everybody, it's 11:08. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back and start our presentation with Charles Goodrich, okay? There's refreshments in the back. Please feed the refreshment.
The test email is going to go out in the next 24 to 48 hours. It'll definitely be this weekend. So check Sunday afternoon or Monday. If you do not receive, and all it's going to say is test email. If you do not receive it, go to the Cowcatcher.org homepage, click on the leadership team button, scroll down to me, Dave Steckler Communications, just send me an email. I did not receive the test email. And we'll see if we can't work out and see what the problem is.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Now you can bring up Charles. Charles, you can go ahead and start your share. We're very fortunate today to have a clinic presented to us by a gentleman who has been, who not only does great photography, but also he does great precision tool making also. If you're not familiar with his company, I'm sure we can probably talk him into giving a short plug on that. But he makes all of his own precision cutting instruments over in Division 3. He's also the division director in Division 3 and doing a great job over there. Please welcome to Division 1, Mr. Charles. I apologize, Charles. I'm stumbling all over your name. Please welcome Charles Goodrich to come over here.
Right after I got out of school, I was frequenting a hobby shop that was also frequented by quite a few rail fans. And they'd come in and they'd start talking about, I saw a new GP9 come in or an SD45, and I was saying, well, what's that? Because I was just starting to get seriously involved with model trains again. After being in them all my life, I didn't really care what they were called. But I grabbed my camera, and back then I didn't have much money, and it was kind of a cheap camera, and headed off to the railroad yard and started taking train pictures. So what you'll see here, and actually what started, okay, that's everything in the work. This is my model railroading. Actually, this is a part of my 0-3 layout after I switched from HO in 1989. This is a Chalmers station. This station won Best to Show at the Shreveport LSR convention, by the way. And just some scenes along the layout. The Gramps All Dock in Chalmers. 497 coming into town. It's a little scene along the railroad. If I go too fast, I've got about 300 pictures. Just tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast.
You're not going to show them all today, though, right?
I am going to show them all.
Oh, you are? Okay.
He's gonna fly.
When I get a herd of fish to watch my pictures, I'm just can't get enough of it. By the way, that's a nest of eagles in the water tank. They were made from pipe cleaners. Unfortunately, this layout does not exist, but I'm trying to rebuild it. This is entitled "The New Tractor." Farmer bragging on his new tractor. The old tractor's off to the right in the weeds. This layout is what earned me my NMR. This is my first train picture when I wandered down to the SB yard in Shreveport, Cotton Belt Yard. At 177, it was the yard switcher in Shreveport for 13 years, Bowen AS616. Even my cheap camera did pretty good on that. This is the Rabbit, which is the nickname for the Shreveport to Houston line, leaving Shreveport. Back in the early 70s, late 60s, the big engines on the SP would come into Shreveport 2 or 3 times a week. And every time I'd see one on the train, I'd head downtown to take pictures. This is a U50, 5,000 horsepower. Another one.
By the way, yesterday I was in Roanoke and Union Pacific's Heritage Southern Pacific locomotive came rolling down through Roanoke into Fort Worth. It was in Fort Worth last night. I don't know where it is today, but anyway. It's where? Is it already gone or is it? Is it left for Houston yet? It is. All right. Leave it to our photographer.
DD35s is the other ones. SP maintenance people call this their 5,000 horsepower track straightener. It's a big engine. I finally got one of these in O scale. I'm looking for a U50 in O scale. They're pretty awesome engines. They're early 70s, like 70, 71. These came through Shreveport, probably going to scrap. RS11s, these ran up until 1975 or so. It's down in Houston. Another one, Baby Alligator. They call this one because it's not quite as big as the RST-15. There's another RS-11 low nose. Bowens, I got to go to Portland, Oregon in 69 and 70. It's been 9 months. I got a lot of pictures of these up there.
Black widow behind it.
Yep. GP9, this is the Linwood Viaduct in Shreveport. I like it. You'll see quite a few pictures of this because you can get the roof detail of from your pictures. The black widows were getting scarce in the early 70s. Don't see many of these. SDP 45.
Sure.
These came into Portland every day on the noon train from
With the steam generator on the rear end of it.
Yep. Another shot of it. One of the bicentennials in Shreveport. It's an old GP35. Big Century. Again,
You hope.
another one.
Those are pretty popular in the mid-70s.
They were. I thought these were coming through Shreveport probably in 74, going to scrap. Then I picked up Straightback's book and they took them to Houston where he built them this new, totally rebuilt Southern Pacific units. This is the Red River Bridge in Shreveport. It's one of A.E. Brown, the railroad photographer's favorite spots. Another shot of the bridge. These would come through Shreveport not quite often. B&O. This is on Mansfield Road in Shreveport, cutting the semaphores. One of the last set of semaphores on the SP. Over in Gibson, Louisiana, Gibson was kind of famous because three railroads come into that little town. The last passenger train on the IC.
See in New Orleans?
No, that's just the Shreveport, Vicksburg
Okay.
local. It's kind of a fuzzy. Okay. So the last passenger train in Shreveport is a little fuzzy because this is my cheap camera. When the light was bad, it didn't shoot very good pictures. I see Jeep 9 in Bossier City. So I see coming into Gippsland. ICG Bicentennial in it. Thought they did a very classy job on that engine.
I don't think I've ever seen that paint scheme before.
And this is the trestle at the north end of Barksdale Air Force Base. Down in New Orleans, Amtrak area, that city of New Orleans going north. GM&O in Bossier. ICG in Shreveport, and then we're about up, probably a GP-18.
It's a little more modern.
A little modern. That's KCS down on Line Avenue. It's the Christmas train heading east. It's last day of November 2010. That's it in Calhoun, Louisiana.
Oh, by the way, would you show your photographs here? Did you bring that one?
I did.
So at the convention last weekend, Charles entered several of his photographs at the convention, and one of them took best of show in all photography. The particular picture you just saw right there is right there.
Hold on a second. Camera people.
Where's your camera?
Yeah, where'd the camera crew go? They turned into spectators. He hasn't switched the cameras yet.
He got it right here.
Here we go, David.
So how did you visualize these slides?
I scanned it with the Epson flatbed scanner.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Appreciate that.
Scanned them at 2,400 dots per inch. I've been working on that. I probably have between 10 and 20,000 slides. And I've got only about maybe 20% digitized. By the time you run them through Photoshop, it takes about 20 minutes or 30 minutes for each one. So it takes a while.
Hey, Charles, you'll have to start sharing again.
You got to start sharing again, Charles.
Okay. Okay, do I need to?
You're good. Just go to your next slide.
This is unfortunately what happened to a lot of the E units from KCS. There's the F unit.
Whoops.
The Jewett scrapyard just to the south of Joymus Yard in Shreveport. KCS ran F units up to the 1980s.
Is that Sulphur Springs?
That's Shreveport.
Shreveport, okay.
I can't remember where he's from, Mike.
Well, I crawled all over those F units in Sulphur Springs one day.
Okay.
Even on the top of them, I got up there and crawled all over the top of them, taking roof detail.
That's his footprints from up there.
That's it. That we're exactly right. Ask Pat McCarthy. He was there, Steve.
GP7. NW2 coming out, what do they call it? They nicknamed the rat hole because it's kind of goes in kind of almost a tunnel in Shreveport. Down at the Red River Bridge again. Up until Mid-South was purchased by KCS. KCS used the Cotton Belt Bridge to get across the river. Up to the Whites, ST40s. We had a slew of ST40s in the 70s. At Doremus, I climbed up the tab of F unit to shoot this one. In the early 70s, KCS used this train quite often. I think they would have about 2 wrecks a week. Back at the bridge. Wilson's Alley in Shreveport. This is what they call a Cullen turn. It went to Cullen, Louisiana, which is where the big paper mill is. A little short train coming back from Cullen. KCS did this for their bicentennial. I'm almost embarrassed to show it.
That's horrible.
But it is a one of a kind. Before they painted the bell, they painted the F unit, the business train, in black.
That's a gorgeous paint scheme. I love that black. I like the new one too, but I like the black.
They had a bunch of these wooden cabooses too, and notice the Allied full pushing trucks came off of troop sweepers. It's up in Hope, Arkansas. GP7. I think this one's in Memphis. Mopac. This is the last F unit to come to Shreveport. About 1972. My first job at Ford Motor Company in Shreveport, an ABA set of Fs would come in every day and switch the plant.
Still don't think they can hear you in the back.
Microphone.
No, nothing that broadcasts that way.
One of their torpedo boats, GP7 with air tanks on top. The Mopac like the SD40s also. They ran those all the time in Shreveport. This was at a wreck in West Shreveport. You can see all the people down at the back of the train. This is one of the railroads that came into Gibson, Louisiana, the North Louisiana and Gulf, with its pre-1972 paint scheme. That's their newer SW1500s. That was their original caboose. Kind of an interesting for a short line with the slug in the middle, 2 SWs. This is kind of an intermediate paint scheme. They bought these 2 units from the Louisiana Northwest Railroad, and North LNW started buying F units. And that's the F units. They ran these up to about 1990. Just south of Magnolia, Arkansas. It's in Magnolia, Arkansas. This is the previous units, the ones you saw earlier on the in LNG. This is what they look like in LNW paint scheme. This is one of my favorite places to rail fan because 11 o'clock every day, the LNW would come into town, the NLNG would come into town, and the Illinois Central, and they'd all be switching a little 4-track yard at the same time. An hour later, everybody left town, and it was totally quiet again. There are older cabooses up at Scott, Arkansas, on the Scott and Bearskin Railroad. Switch stand up in Haynesville. These met their fate pretty early. I found these in Athens on the LNW one afternoon. I was chasing the train. A Chihuahua Pacifico. These are new units going to Mexico. That's their insignia. Dallas, Texas. It's the yard just to the west of the fairgrounds. It's up in Kansas City. And that's what it was hooked to. It's all Kansas City here.
CF7.
Yeah, GP7. It's down in Houston, Texas. That's unusual. I don't know if you call it an RS Jeep 7 or what do you? Okay. I think that was in Dallas. Oh, I think it has an EMD power plant in it too, by the stacks. I believe this was in Portland, Oregon. It's in Portland. In Wichita Falls. I was fortunate to be transferred to Portland for 9 months, just before and after the merger of the Burlington Northern. So I've got the pictures of all the components of Burlington Northern. The Knight Street Yard in Portland, which is no longer there. GP30. This was my favorite railroad up there, because 90% of their roster was Alcos. They had a lot of FAs. And a lot of these too. It's up at Rich Mountain. I've been to Rich Mountain rail fanning 3 times and I haven't got a KCS train yet. Up in Portland, Oregon. I think that's the only PA in the US that's built that runs.
Is it Doyle McCormick's?
Yes. Mm-hmm. This is at the steam facility in Portland. It's on Sherman Hill. I think this is out at Tehachapi. Salt Lake City. Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon. My first weekend in Portland, I was across the river at 9th Street Yard, and I looked across the river, and I could see an alley with buildings on both sides. And this engine, I saw it across the alley, and it kept coming and it kept coming. I said, what in the world is that? One of these. It's an interesting shot. It's DD40 with the GP9B unit, another GP40 or DD40, and then another B unit out on Sherman Hill. This is coming out of Weber Canyon in Wyoming. Tehachapi. This is one of the best places to rail fan in the world. This is coming into the loop. SP on the loop. I don't know who thought up this paint scheme.
Guernsey cow.
I drove back and forth to Louisiana Tech, and this engine was on the side of the road at Adair, Louisiana, Woodard Walker Lumber Company. And I kept saying, I need to take a picture of that. I kept driving by it, and finally I got it just before they scrapped it. This old Shay was parked in Portland the whole time I was there. This is the railroad that got me interested in the steam. It's the Reeder Railroad. It's advertised as the last regularly scheduled mixed train powered by steam in the United States.
What time frame is this?
Up to 1973. That's the 1702. It's the 1944 edition U.S. Army consolidation coming into Dills Mill, Arkansas. Backup whistle on their combine. There's 1702 switching the passenger run. And there it is leaving Dills Mill. Combine brake wheel and early morning view. Putting up 1702, going into the engine house. 1972, I got to go to Colorado for the first time to Durango. Try explaining this to your wife. I like this little boy in the back looking at him switching the train.
That's a good shot.
76, Randy James and I went out to chase train in the winter. This is a more recent freight special at the High Bridge. It's a little bit cold that day. This is a flanger special on the BNS. This is another one of my favorite places to take pictures. There's a road that loops around Fort Lewis College on top of the mesa just east of town. And you can see all of Durango from different spots along there. There's a train leaving town, crossing the Animas River. The old highway crossing on the BNS. Shalom Lake coming into Rockwood. Some detail on 478. Down in the Animas Canyon somewhere. Mount Garfield. It's 315's first trip. It's leaving Silverton. 478 arriving in Silverton. Y'all know John Coker, railroad artist? He was our engineer on the special. To the life of me, I don't know how he kept his shirt and overalls clean. But he looked at, every time you see him, he looked like that. His gloves were filthy, but he was spotless. Silverton Depot in 478. Leaving Silverton. This is a picture that won Best to Show in Photography at the LSR convention. Notice the engineer cleaning the lens on his headlight. High Bridge again. This is where you don't want to have a derailment.
Amen to that.
400 feet, almost straight down. In Rockwood. Coming into Durango. 315 on the turntable in Durango. And Mount Garfield. They crossed the Animas River in Silverton. It's a nice S-curve on the Cats. It's right taken from the highway. Most of the time the light's not very good. Today I took that, it was perfect. Give you an idea what an air gauge looks like. Some of us call this standard gauge because there is a narrower gauge at that. .489, 488. That's what Cumbry's Pass looks like in the first day of May. This is in December in Chama. In 1997, they ran the OI for the last time. That would be up until last year, I believe, for the OI. Didn't have much snow at the lower levels, but when you get to Coxo, it started getting deep. You can see the line up to Windy Point. Can't see it with that. But the snow line on the mountain up above, that's the line going up to Cumbry's Pass. Lobato Trestle. On Cumbry's. Rock Tunnel, Toltec Gorge is right below it. Lava Loop. Jukes Tree, named for Fred Jukes, the famous railroad photographer in the early 1900s. It's one of my favorite sites in the morning, favorite locations. It's at Frisco Tank, coming into Coxo, back at Lobato. This is my favorite place. You can see why, because the light's always perfect there. Lobato Trestle is just off to the left. This is taken from what they call Kodachrome rock, the big rock on Windy Point that's a favorite place for people to climb up and take pictures. Same place. Back at Lobato. It's coming into Lava Loop from the north. Frisco Tank. Back at Duke's Tree. Rock Tunnel again, different location. When I was moving to Portland, Oregon, this was parked on the side of interstate at Colorado Springs, I believe. A little closer to home. This engine is down on the Grapevine.
2248.
Yeah.
By the way, 2248 should be back under steam within the next 60 days.
Cool. Another U.S. Army consolidation. It used to be a Tremont and Guff engine. Last run of the Mississippian. Ex-Frisco 280. (2716). Southern Railway used to put on a steam excursion 2 weekends in October every year. Usually they'd have a different engine on each one. 765 on that weekend. This is crossing the Tennessee River. Chickamauga Dam is just off the picture to the left. It's up at Soddy Daisy, our NMRA headquarters is or was. I'm not sure.
It is still.
Did
you get any 819?
What?
You got any 819 in there?
Maybe. This is up at Emory Gap. As far as they ran the steam, they took the F units up to Crossville on this excursion, going back to Chattanooga. Y'all might know this little locomotive, 610 in Sheffield, Alabama. From Chattanooga, 610. There it is coming back into town. I got this picture by accident because I was on the other side when the sun went down. I was irritated because the train was late. I was putting my stuff in the car when he rolled across. I just set it at 1/30th of a second. Took the picture. This is the only engine that I've chased at 100 miles an hour and it left me.
Wow.
On this trip near Greenville, North Carolina. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. This is in a kudzu patch, just northeast of Atlanta, in Greenville, North Carolina. This is 8444, 844 now, going to the World's Fair, Little Rock, Arkansas. This is coming back from the fair. Back to Little Rock, early morning sun. Get some really good pictures in the magic golden hour just after sunrise and just before sunset. In South Texas. Went on the first Challenger trip it was going from Salt Lake City to Ogden. We chased it 2 days and then chased it back to Cheyenne. Notice the burnt grass. You'll never believe how fast a photo line can disperse when the train pulls up and the grass just explodes with fire. But you'll see quite a few of burnt grass. This is burnt from the day before. That's why it got it burned. You can see the sparks coming out of that smokestack. This is up at McAllister, Oklahoma. You get some diesels every once in a while chasing steam. That's a front engine. Wish I'd cut the weeds down here. Pick up a few strays when you're chasing steam too. This was in McAllister. 1984, the 4449 came to the World's Fair. This is it coming into El Paso. There it is out in the Texas prairie country. Alpine, Texas.
What year was that?
1984.
You wasn't the only one down there.
No. It's the only place I ever chased a train, and there was a bus chasing it. And I was doing about 90, and this bus makes a U-turn in front of me.
Whoops.
I had to lock it up. I was in my little RX-7.
There's 819.
Oh, there were very many shots of it. They used oil from the police department in Pine Bluff from draining their crankcases, and it made it smoke like crazy. Foul their flues pretty bad too. 1522, it came to Texas 2 years back on the Employee Appreciation Special. I thought this little booger was going to scrap. Came through Shreveport. I caught it on Sunday afternoon. But this and number one and number two, this is one. 60 days later, I saw it running in Scott, Arkansas.
What year was that?
1522.
1522. I don't remember.
At Frisco.
Must have been about 2010.
Is it still
Never
under
had-
steam?
I had a video published on chasing that from Springfield to Dallas and back and forth here in Dallas on run-bys, and then on this last run out of St. Louis. 734. I want to get back to this railroad again because they have the big Challenger. No, it's 2662. Last Bowen engine built is running now on this railroad.
What is that? What railroad is that?
The Western Maryland.
Western Maryland, okay.
If you want to get dirty, you can stand around this thing for a few minutes. This is Cass.
Oh,
Back up one, please.
Do what?
that's good.
Oh. They wiped it down pretty good before each run. This must be an awful boring job.
I saw an interview with this girl one time, and she's been working on the railroad since she was like 12, working as a volunteer here, and absolutely loves her work. She wouldn't do anything else, and can't wait to become a certified engineer on steam. That's what she's working for. Yeah.
Remember her name?
I do not. Okay.
She worked on the Six Flags Railroad for a while.
Did she? Okay.
This engine is huge. You walk up to it, I understand it's running now again, but it's like walking up to a wall. It's just so big. Dwarfs these other shays, and they're probably 90 tons. I think that's 160 ton.
Wow.
All right. This is a gas station. It's out in Heber, Utah. It's Mount Timpanogos in the background. This is on Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. A Willamette. Difference from the Shay in that the valve gear is all about where you can work on it. On the Caliche Prairie Railroad in Washington State. Never did like tank engines, but when you start following one, it's just another steam engine. The same sounds and smells and everything. It's on the Oregon Coast Railroad. This is on the narrow gauge, the Wiscasset. Yeah.
Mike Ross. Is that yours? Is that where you worked on the 2 foot in Maine? Back it up. You don't know.
I worked there, but it's a great place to visit.
Hang on a second. Hang on just a second, Mike. Back it up two shots or three. One more. And one more. That right there? Have you seen that?
I've seen it over the month, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
This was at the narrow gauge convention in Augusta.
Oh, they brought them down.
About 4 years.
Okay.
They had the railroad open for us.
Augusta, Maine, you mean?
What?
Augusta, Maine?
Yes.
Yeah.
$700 SPNS in Portland. It's an awesome locomotive. That's it.
All right.
Charles, your photography is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions you want to ask Charles before we wrap up? Yes, sir.
Was there a particular film stock that you preferred to use, or was it pretty much Kodachrome everywhere back in the day? Or?
Kodachrome was my go-to. A few Ektachromes, but Kodachrome 32 is what I always shot. When the light got bad, you got bad pictures because it was just so slow.
Yeah.
Today, you can't mess up using digital. You can take a bad picture and still pull something out of it. So I just love the digital today.
Yeah.
And that you can Photoshop it and do anything you want to make it really jump out.
Did you prefer 35 millimeter or medium format?
I started out, I had an old Kodak Motormatic that my parents bought in 1961. And that's all I could afford till a couple of years, 3 years out of college. I had to just use what I got. And some of them came out kind of fuzzy, and some of them, the light not so good. But in Photoshop, a lot of those ones, the light's not good, you can still get a decent picture out of it. Some of those were pulled out of too dark or too light and that kind of thing. And the important thing is just get you a camera and go out and take pictures. Go where the trains are. For you, of course, you got to get your parents to drive you now. But just read about where the trains are running, and not too far from now's the Texas State, and you can get pretty good maps of Texas State with map programs on your computer, and see all the little roads that drive back into the railroad. And there's some gorgeous places to take pictures there.
We chased the Texas State a few times.
Have you?
Yeah, I think Christine has Durango's on the list.
Oh, if you've never
Durango,
been up there, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Durango and Cumbers and Toltec both are, you get both of them when you go that far, 90 miles apart. And
the C&T is extremely photo friendly. I mean, you can walk down into the yards and while they're switching and stuff like that. I mean, you can get right up next to the trains.
You have to be careful though, because you can get run over.
Oh, that's easy. Having worked for the railroad, it's the one of the most enjoyable jobs I ever did, but it's by far the most dangerous job I've ever done in my lifetime.
It is dangerous. I was on the Illinois Central in Bossier at their yard. I was taking pictures in the yard. I was standing between the tracks, and I turned around, and a boxcar was moving about that far from me in the back, and I never heard it.
Never hear it. When I was when we went through training on the SP in Houston, they took us and we had a training class that started at midnight in the depot yard, and they had a string of cars. They had an engine pull one car back, and as a demonstration of exactly what you're talking about, they had us turn our back to the track. We were standing, 4 or 5 feet from the track. And they said, raise your hand, close your eyes, raise your hand when the car goes by. And they shoved the car, the engine was way back. They shoved the car came rolling past us. And the next thing we realized was wham, when it hit the other end of the string of cars that was another 50 yards past us. Couldn't hear it go by you. And that was exactly what they wanted to do. And this was at midnight in downtown Houston. It was quiet as it could be and just some background noise, but you could not hear it go by. And so it was extremely dangerous. So one of our future guest talks or presenters is going to be from Operation Lifesaver. And they're going to come out and make a presentation to us, but also offer us the opportunity to become Operation Lifesaver certified presenters so that we can go out to schools, civic organizations, libraries, whatever, and talk about railroad safety. Understand that there's no such thing as a train car accident. Okay? Accidents cannot be prevented. Every time there is a collision between a train and a car, it's an incident, not an accident, because incidents can be prevented. And every single train, car incident can be prevented. So we're going to learn about that in a few months. So anybody else have anything to add? Guys, we had a great meeting. We had 31, 32 people, 32 here today. How many? 43 total. That's right up there with our where we want to be, above 40. Bring a friend next month. Okay, we want to do that. By the way, next month, right here is our summer hot dog cookout. So we're going to be cooking hot dogs. It's an opportunity for you to bring a friend and or your significant other. Come have hot dogs fellowship. That will be our event. So we're just going to come, hang out, talk to each other, and have good fun fellowship. All right. Second Saturday of the month, just like always, right here, 10 a.m. Thanks, everybody. Have a safe month, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.